Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I'm your host, founder, and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Check out our over 260 episodes in our catalog on your favorite platform where you like to consume your content, your podcast, your shows. Where you're at is where we can be found as well. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all the support from everybody, not only here in the United States, but across the world. And we do have this huge goal of wanting to help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. And we're well on our way. It's exciting. It's it's humbling. It's a lot of things, and to know that as as we're filming this, that it will be seen and heard uh, by people all over the world, and that's it's a real honor to have that level of respect. Whether you listen to 1 second of our show, 1 millisecond of our show, or if you've listened or watched all of our episodes. Regardless, we thank you. And thank you for joining us. We thank you for making time out of your day. And we are just ecstatic as an organization. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of happenings uh, that are going on, and we'll be able to share a bit more about these in due time. But you definitely want to stay close. Definitely want to give us a big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, comment, all free things to do that help us greatly. Thank you in advance. And if you're subscribing and you've liked and shared and followed, thank you very much. Uh, Let your friends and family and significant others know, and that would be a wonderful thing you could do for us. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? The question that often comes into my mind, our organization, to partner organizations, to just really fellow human beings. Don't have to be part of an organization. You don't have to own it or have founded it. Uh, just as a human being, has is it worth it ever uh, found its way into your mind where we, speaking on my behalf, a lot of racing thoughts, a lot of different topics from one to the next, seemingly happening in such a such a fast cadence. Uh, wow, like if I don't write this down, I'm probably gonna forget about it. Not because it's not interesting, not because of any ill will, just a mere fact that my mind's already on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. So that's one thing I've learned that I remember with my parents uh, quite some time ago, and as a youngster, but somebody much younger than I am now, I saw one of my relatives, my mom, writing things down. And there's a piece of paper on the counter. And she's writing things down, and then at first, I didn't know like what it was, what she was doing. I know she was writing a letter to somebody. I don't know. And one day after that, I don't know how close the timing is. The timing is not really important. But what's important is, uh, as different things, different ideas, different projects, different things were presenting themselves to me and into my mind. And my mom had said, well, why don't you just write it down so you don't forget it. And me being the, say, rambunctious, or I know better, I'm a know-it-all, however we want to talk about, however we want to classify. I was like, no, I don't need to write it down. And then I'll say slowly, there be small aspects of certain things, certain projects, certain things I needed to do, whether that's pick up something at a store, or oh, I need to clean out my car, I need to get a car wash. The list goes on. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, well, I forgot to wash the car this week. I'll just do it tomorrow, or I'll do it today. And so that that story of at one of those points, I was like, oh, well, maybe if I do write it down, I may have a less chance of forgetting it. And I think my hesitation again at first was, I was a know-it-all, that's not for me. I don't have to do that. And then the second part is that I would see in a written form, a list that would look overwhelming, that it would cause my stress to increase of, oh my gosh, these are all the things that I'd like to get done, maybe some on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and throughout the week. But I think I was afraid that I would see that list, and then I might not measure up to that, whether I wouldn't finish all the quote unquote tasks on a particular day. And then if I wouldn't, then I would kind of beat myself up inside, like, Justin, all you had to do is put gas in your car, fill it up, uh, and now you have to get up extra early to go to the gas station before you head to work, or wherever that was, whether that was school or work. And so I found myself, and even still to this day, having that fearfulness of, I'm gonna see this huge list and just be overwhelmed by it, to be so big, in fact, that I'm gonna say, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And you may be wondering what it is. The it that I'm referring to is Is this life worth it? Is me making a list and working through different projects, different tasks, whatever they may be? Is that really what I'm here for on Earth? Am I here so I can just go from one task to the next and then have that sense of accomplishment of, oh wow, I completed all 5 things for today. Then I get in the mode of, well, maybe I'll start on tomorrow's then. Instead of giving myself a break, instead of giving myself the opportunity to step away and do something else that is funner than making a list and checking things off of it. Maybe that's going to a ball game or a concert, a fair, another sporting event. So I continue to talk about, is this worth it? Being the hamster on the wheel of, okay, I got asked to do XYZ, so I got to do XYZ, and then I got asked to do ABC, then DEF, uh, and so that's our organization. And it's going to sound interesting and a little bit sarcastic and funny. Coming from me, I am so I like organization. I like knowing exactly what I need to do and what I'm being asked to do, such as go to the grocery store and see if they have this particular type of ice cream. And something as minor as that, something as small as that can really, again, bring us back to is it worth it? Is what I'm doing worth it? Am I reaping the rewards? Whether that be money, fame, prestige, designer clothing, handbags, cars, mansions, jets. Is it worth it? To give another example, a lot of you know that another brand that I'm associated with is called The House of You, and that is let's see, that's the publisher of 2 books, 2 pamphlets. So they're relatively short, 80, 90, 100 pages. But the first one being The House of You, 5 workforce preparation tips for a successful career. Available in paperback, electronically, and on Audible. And then the second book, The House of You, Prescription for Living, that details my mental health journey, and that is also available in paperback, in digital form, and on Audible. And so when I think of The House of You, right, there's a house. Well, duh, right? It's in the name, it's in the brand. So there's a house, not any old house, but it's our house. That's our house, our home. We've just discovered a piece of land, and we just so happen have enough money to pay for the land and build a new house, new home, the house of our dreams. So we go through the design process. We do the blueprints with the architect, and we go pick out, what color the wall's gonna be. Are we gonna have hardwood or carpet, and what type of sink we're gonna have, and do we have appliances like washer, dryer, refrigerator, microwave? And so we go through all these, uh, I say all these motions, but we just go through from time to time having to answer those questions. So as the home, as the house, as the condo, as the apartment, as that's being built, that each one of our, let's say, if needs, like we need a refrigerator, we need a microwave, uh, and so or how many outlets, where we can plug in a phone to charge, plug in a webcam, an iPad. How many are we going to have, and what rooms, and in those rooms, where do we foresee putting a TV, a television set, and so we go through this whole myriad of topics to have that one day to be notified by a real estate agent, uh, or whomever, and says, "Hey, Justin, your house it's built, ready for you to move in today. Let's meet up and get you the keys." And that's a happy moment. And and the House of You came about, the brand, the House of You, which is also patent, trademark registered with the United States Patent and Trade Office. So it was before my dad had passed last year. And, from time to time we'd be in conversation, we would be at family reunions or just amongst friends and family members, and it was you know, not one specific time. It was multiple times where my dad would get up out of his chair or the couch or whatever, and he would walk to the back of the house, and he'd look out the window, and he would see trees, and he'd see birds and squirrels, uh and he would be, having his feet planted firmly on the ground inside the house that he and my mom built to their specifications. Now, before the foundation could even be laid, it the the space, the lot where the house was going to be built was brush and trees and tall grass. And so yeah, before any foundation could even think of getting started, that had to be done. There had to be a clearing. And so there's a team that came in, and that's part of what they do. And they cleared it, cut down trees, just cleared the land so that the construction team could come and start start the process of getting that foundation laid, and slowly by slowly, brick by brick, siding, piece of siding above piece of siding up to the roof and everything indoors. And so as my dad would stand and look out that window in the back, as he would do often, and even near the end of his days on earth before he went to heaven to be with the Lord, he looked out in wonder and amazement that just a few years prior, where the very house that he was standing in was, there again were trees, tall grass, weeds, and he and my mom were able to pick the piece of land, have it cleared, and have the home building process start. And again, like I mentioned, like what kind of sink, and where do we want the outlet, and what kind of carpet, or what type of hardwood, and what color do you want the door? And as we know, there's just so many options of so many different things. And so when he would look out, he he was seeing uh, part of God's creation for him, for my mom, for our family, really any human. Of he'd always have a bird feeder in one of the trees, was quite tall. Um, Anyways, and so he would just look out and just he would see nature. Sometimes we would have deer, frolicking through our yard. And and for him, that was a big accomplishment. That was something that he was very, very happy to have been able to do. And towards the end of my father's days on earth, before he was bedridden, he would use all the strength he had. He'd use all the strength he had to get up out of his chair or the couch with his walker, and he and his walker, they would walk, slide towards that same very window, and my dad would just look out that window, and I can only imagine that he saw nature, that he saw something he had a large part in, that he was able to see one last bird or one last squirrel or one last wind blowing and watching the leaves blow from one side to the other and up and down. And then he would go as much as he could on his own, and he would go back and sit or lay down, and he would pick up the Bible, and he would put on his glasses. He just needed his he just needed his glasses for like uh magnifying the letters and that. So yeah, so he put on his glasses and then he turned to John 3:16, one of the most quoted parts of the Bible. Oftentimes we see at sporting events a person or two or three holding up a sign. So John 3:16. In the paraphrase, John 3:16 says, again paraphrasing, that God so loved the world that he sent his only son down to be one with human beings, human beings. And God did this to not to condemn the world, not to say you should do this, you need to do that. He didn't send his son down to do that. He didn't send him down to earth to condemn the world, but he sent him down to earth to save the world, to help the world, to help humanity. And again, I was paraphrasing there. And so that was one of the last, if not the last, group of words that he read. And then once the health progressed in a not so good manner, what was left, the senses, were his ears. It's my understanding that listening is one, and ears are is, if not the last sense. one of the last senses to go. So that's why it was important that when we could, when we could, my mom, my sister, and myself, we would take we would take turns. We would sit next to my dad, and we would read passages and parts of the Bible, including John 3:16. It's getting emotional. That's okay. We're allowed to have emotions, no matter who we are. And so as my wife and I read to our daughter, there I was reading to my own dad. And so whatever ego, whatever I had left from when I hit that rock bottom in November 2017, it was gone because it was about humanity. It was about spending time with somebody we didn't have to talk all the whole day. A lot of the day was, planning medications and changing my dad's position, how he was laying, and so he would have less of a chance of getting bed sores, and making sure he was warm when he was cold, and uh, cool when he was warm, and then phone calls to family members, friends, others. Uh, we would have those. We would have those calls. Mm. And so for my dad, and for anybody who has passed or knows somebody who's passed, we have all the accomplishments. We can have all the material things. We can't take it with us. So we, more than ever, need to spend as much time with our families and our friends. If we're able to travel, if that's something we like to do, with like a particular band or an artist, and we want to attend the concert or watch a movie, go for a walk, just sit on the deck or the porch and read a book, listen to music, or just listen to nature, because those were parts of what my dad had towards the end of his time with us on Earth, was looking out the window at nature and envisioning all those trees and all that brush, and thinking, wow, look at what God has given us. God has worked through us to clear the brush and the lot, and then the building process and all that. And so to see a bird or a squirrel, or just look at the trees blowing in the wind and the leaves changing colors during the fall. And so the house my parents built, any house for that matter, when a house is built on rock, it will remain there for a long time. Whereas if we build a house on sand and storm, rain, wind, flooding comes, our house could literally evaporate. But the house that's built on the rock, that has that foundation in the rock, will weather the storm. It will. It will weather the storm and it will remain there much, 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 much longer than that house that was built on sand. And so we look at where's our where's our house built? We don't have to have physically have a house, physical house, but our mind. Do we have our mind built on rock, a solid foundation, and whatever that may be? Doesn't have to be religion like me. I'm sharing my example, my experiences. So is it built on rock? And so while the storms will come and the storms will go, our house, who we are, who we stand for, what we stand for, will weather the storms, both big and small, mighty and tiny. Or is our mind, our beliefs built on sand? And when we try to weather the storm and storms, whether we like it or not, building on sand is a lot more, a house or anything built on sand is a lot more exposed to the elements and to and potentially washing away, given the right conditions versus that house, that apartment, that condo, that VRBO, whatever. So it really comes down to, is it worth it? And we take a step back from what's going on in our lives, and we take a little bit of just like an inventory of how we're feeling, how we think things are going. Just taking, you don't have to write it down. If you want to, you can. I find sometimes it's helpful, even though I'm talking about this, it's still hard to do. It's easy to talk about, like, "Hey, I should write that down." Um, because when I do write that down and these things down and these ideas, I'm able to refer back to it, and then when I finish, I'm able to check those boxes and look and say, "Oh, I was able to do these things." And while maybe I did all of them today, maybe tomorrow I do one out of whatever the number of tasks. And so when you say that worth it, and we talk about the foundation of, building on rock versus building on sand, that's where Voices for Voices comes in. It's easy to want to say that we're building on rock, but it's another thing to prove it, that we are built on a rock, that we aren't here today, gone tomorrow. There may be, certain times, certain years, certain times a year. Maybe there's some changes from year to year. Like, oh well, we were able to do this one event or this one thing this year, but maybe we weren't last year. But that's the weathering. That's the elements coming. But right here, right now, all 260 plus episodes of our show is a testament to our organization, Voices for Voices. It's a testament, and I'll give myself some self-love because I give myself plenty of self-hate and self-disappointments, and I can do this better, and I should have did that better. And uh, but right here, right now, I can give myself some self-love and say, "Dang, Justin, dang, Voices for Voices." Whether the organization films one more episode, or 1,000 or 10,000 episodes, or if this ends up being the last episode, we're built on and built in rock. That's the only way to explain how we even got to episode 260 plus. Because as we've been reminded of in the last couple of weeks, once we hit episode 250, it's a huge milestone, not just for the organization, not just for me, but in the podcasting, the show industry, that there's a very small percentage of shows and podcasts that get to 250 episodes, because it's easy to think about, it's easy to do a couple, a few, But if you're not in it for the right reasons and you're not passionate about what that podcast, what that interview is about, it's going to show and you're going to get bored. Well, I don't want to do it. This is silly. And uh, nobody's watching, nobody's listening. And, or whatever the reason is. Maybe somebody moves, maybe somebody switches a job, switches industries, and uh, and maybe you're spending a whole lot of extra time at work, doing work, so you have less time to put a show together. And this is not me bad mouthing any other show, any other person. It's just the facts that I've been presented with that having 250 episodes is it's good. And so for all the times I've beat myself up and questioned to be in a company of relatively few shows, and I'm just one person. We do. We have board of directors. We have a lot of support, a lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of advocates that have and continue to be there for us and continue to encourage us to keep going, to keep telling our story, to tell our experiences, to keep it real, not sugarcoat. And so are there people along the way that may not agree or may feel one way or another. I'm just moving positions of my feet there. One's falling asleep there, so that's why I did that. But oh, here we go. There, I'm back. Uh, and so it's like anything. There's people that are gonna love and are generally caring people, and there's gonna be people that are on the other side of the spectrum, and that's okay. We're free to be able to do that. We're free to turn this show off and turn another one on. It's okay. But I can say because of my passion, intensity, not giving up, believing in not just the organization, but myself. And that's hard to do. It's very hard to do. It's hard to believe in ourselves when, however, we want to measure ourselves, whether it's by money, by who we're friends with, who we're connected with, who we have a picture with, or a video, or who we were able to meet, or or where we were able to travel for vacation, uh, and so it's easy to not love on ourselves. And well, maybe it sounds corny and silly. I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. Because when I have 100%, we have that pie chart, 100%, say 100% of our brain. And if you or I or anybody spends that whole entire time, going through our daily and beating up on ourselves or going, oh, I wish I could have done that, or wish I would have done that, or I wish I would have reached out, or whatever it is, big, small, it doesn't matter. We think that, oh, there we go again, Justin, not following through, uh, whatever. And so that pie, that 100% of my brain and my mind goes way towards the negative. And I think by giving ourselves self-love, giving ourselves compassion, time to unplug, time to take a nap, time to rest and relax. The reason why it sounds so silly and whatever about talking about, I love myself and uh I I want to spend some time doing self-care. The reason why it sounds so whatever, I don't know, whatever the term is, silly, goofy, what uh, the reason probably the reason why I think it sounds like that is because we don't do it enough. It's not normalized in society. It's not. People can talk about all they want till they're blue in the face and oh, I made this statement, I did this and this and this. But at the end of the day, is there any action? Well, I can say that I founded an organization in the mental health side of things, if the on the big pillars of Voices for Voices, of sharing my story and others. We just we just got into some uncharted territory with a low percentage of people and organizations having not only 250 plus episodes of the show, but now 260. And so I'm allowed to tell myself, good job, way to go, keep it up. Because I don't want my pie chart to be 100% negative or 100%, well, we did this good, or I wish I would have said something this way, and I wouldn't have said like and and pause and instead of doing that and beating myself up inside, we're all make mistakes.